Hi everyone. Information Box Ticket Lifestyle brings you Biochemistry topic Anaerobic Respiration. Its definition, types, steps, equation, products and uses. But before that, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to my channel and press the bell icon button for more videos. Respiration. Respiration is a metabolic process that releases cellular energy in the form of ATP, adeno-triphosphate, inside the living cell by dissolving basic organic substances, food material. An electron is converted from an electron donor to an electron acceptor through a sequence of oxidation-reduction reactions. The ATP molecule serves as a last type of energy release and storage. It is distinct from breathing, which entails the intake of ambient air, which is oxygen, and the expulsion of carbon dioxide (CO2). A common name for it is cellular respiration. Aerobic and anaerobic respiration may be distinguished based on the kind of terminal electron acceptor used in the respiration cycle. Oxygen is employed as a terminal electron acceptor during aerobic respiration. Other molecules than oxygen are utilized as terminal electron acceptor in anaerobic respiration. So what is an anaerobic respiration? Anaerobic respiration is simply the process of cellular respiration that takes place in an anoxic environment or one in which oxygen is not present. Anaerobic respiration is a kind of respiration in which the energy molecule ATP is produced by transferring the terminal electrons generated during the oxygen reduction of nutrients to a variety of organic and inorganic electron acceptors instead of oxygen molecules. Sulfur, sulfate, ferric ions, nitrate, DMSO, and other sulfur-containing compounds are frequently utilized as terminal electron acceptors in anaerobic respiration. Therefore, it is the process of creating ATP molecules without oxygen. Anaerobic respiration solely takes place in the cytoplasm, in contrast to aerobic respiration, which happens in both the cytoplasm and mitochondria. Anaerobic glycolysis takes place first, followed by fermentation. Either organic acids, lactic acid, or molecules of ethanol and ATP are the final product's energy. Following expressions can be used to describe the total response of a glucose molecule's anaerobic respiration. Glucose plus electron acceptors other than oxygen is equal to lactic acid or ethanol plus 2 ATP molecules. Kindly support my channel by subscribing to it. Types of anaerobic respiration. Anaerobic respiration can be divided into a number of categories depending on the type of end product produced, such as organic acid fermentation, lactic acid, butyric acid, propionic acid, mixed acid, etc. Metagenesis, acetogenesis, denitrification, sulfur reduction, alcohol, which is ethanol, butanediol, etc. Anaerobic respiration can be broadly classified as follows: lactic acid fermentation and ethanol fermentation. Let's discuss lactic acid fermentation with the help of this diagram. When glucose and other 6-carbon carbohydrates are converted to lactate, a kind of anaerobic respiration, chemical energy in the form of ATP molecules is released. Pyruvate, which is created at the conclusion of glycolysis and is changed to lactate by the enzyme lactate dehydrogenase, is formed during the fermentation process. Another name for it is lactofermentation. So the general equation of lactic acid fermentation can be expressed as glucose plus ADP plus NADH, which results in lactic acid plus ATP plus NAD plus. It is one of the most popular fermentation and is used extensively in manufacturing of fermented foods. Fruits, vegetables, grains, milk, which is used to make fermented dairy products, and meat have all been preserved for use in the future through the fermentation process since ancient times. It mostly takes place in the cytoplasm of bacteria. Lactic acid bacteria (LAB) are the kind of bacteria that convert glucose into lactic acid and are frequently employed in biotechnology and the food industry. Lactobacillus, Lactococcus, Leuconostoc, Streptococcus, Pediococcus, Enterococcus, etc. are examples of common lactic acid bacteria. In addition, it happens in the cytoplasm of higher animals like humans. Because there is a lack of oxygen during intense muscular activity, lactic acid fermentation takes place in our body muscles. After strenuous muscular activity, this will cause cramps, soreness, and a feeling of weariness in our muscles. Due to the absence of mitochondria in red blood cells, this kind of respiration occurs often in tissues other than muscles. Now let's get to know about ethanol fermentation. But before that, don't forget to give a subscribe to this channel. Ethanol fermentation. With the help of this diagram, you will understand ethanol fermentation. It is a typical example of anaerobic respiration in which glucose and other 6-carbon carbohydrates are converted to ethanol and the chemical energy is released as ATP molecules. When the enzyme alcohol dehydrogenase is present, the glycolytic cycle's pyruvate is changed into ethanol, additionally known as alcoholic fermentation. So the general equation of ethanol fermentation can be expressed as glucose plus ATP plus NADH, which results into ethanol plus ATP plus NAD plus. It is always employed in the brewing of alcoholic drinks. Saccharomyces cerevisiae, Saccharomyces, Zygosaccharomyces, Candida, Pixia, and other yeasts carry out this function. In addition, bacteria like Zymomonas and fungus like Aspergillus oryzae are also employed. Additionally, it affects higher species like goldfish. Kindly don't forget to give a like to this video and subscribe to my channel. Steps of anaerobic respiration. Glycolysis and fermentation are the first and second processes in the anaerobic respiration. Number 1. Glycolysis. With the help of this diagram beside you, we will understand these steps of anaerobic respiration. The process of turning a glucose or glycogen molecule into pyruvic acid with the help of several enzymes found in each cell cytoplasm is known as glycolysis. Two molecules of pyruvic acids, two molecules of NADH, and two molecules of ATP are produced throughout the process from one glucose molecule by catalysis. Every live cell's cytoplasm contains it during both anaerobic and aerobic respiration. The Embden-Meyerhof-Parnas EMP pathway is another name for it. The breakdown of 6-carbon sugar glucose into two molecules of 3-carbon pyruvate occurs in a complicated 10-step catabolic process. The whole response is broken down into 3 phases, including Number 1. Energy investment phase. Number 2, splitting phase. And number 3, energy generation phase. Starting with the first phase, energy investment phase. It is the first stage of three-step process when glucose is transformed into fructose 1,6-biphosphate utilizing 2 ATP molecules, therefore named the energy investment phase. The enzyme hexokinase first phosphorylates glucose to glucose 6-phosphate G6P. The enzyme glucose 6-phosphate isomerase converts the G6P to fructose 6-phosphate F6P in the next step in the presence of magnesium ion. Finally, the phosphofructokinase enzyme phosphorylates the F6P to fructose 1,6-biphosphate. Number 2. The splitting phase. In the second phase, two molecules of glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate G3P, each with 3 carbons, are formed from 6-carbon fructose 1,6-biphosphate molecule. First, an enzyme known as aldolase fructobiphosphate aldolase breaks down the fructose 1,6-biphosphate enzymatically to produce G3P and dihydroxyacetone phosphate. The enzyme triose-phosphate isomerase converts dihydroxyacetone phosphate to G3P in the following step. Number 3. Energy generation phase. The last stage of glycolysis is when G3P is ultimately converted to pyruvate, releasing 2 ATP molecules. The enzyme glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate dehydrogenase converts the G3P into 1,3-bisphosphoglycerate in the first step, resulting in a molecule of NADH. An ATP molecule is produced when the enzyme phosphoglycerate kinase catalyzes the conversion of 1,3-bisphosphate to 3-phosphoglycerate, which is subsequently catalyzed by another enzyme, phosphoglycerate mutase, to produce 2-phosphoglycerate. Phosphoglycerate is converted to phosphoenol pyruvate in a reversible process by enolase. In turn, pyruvate kinase will dephosphorylate phosphoenol pyruvate, yielding pyruvate and an ATP molecule. The following equation provides a summary of the entire chemical process. Glucose plus 2 ATP plus 2 ADP plus 2 phosphate ions plus 2 NAD plus, which results into 2 pyruvate plus 2 NADH plus 2 ATP. Now let's learn the process of fermentation. It is a process through which pyruvate generated during glycolysis is converted to an anaerobic respiration byproduct, mainly ethanol or lactic acid. As a result, pyruvate is reduced in the presence of separate enzyme using the proton that was released when NADH was converted to NAD+. When pyruvate is reduced, fermentation can either be homofermentation, which results in the production of only one kind of product, or it can be heterofermentation, which results in the production of 2 or more end products. The type of enzymes used and the method of fermentation determines the final result of pyruvate reduction. The final result of lactic acid fermentation is lactic acid, whereas the final product of alcohol fermentation is ethanol. Number 1. Lactic acid fermentation. This kind reduces the pyruvate to L-lactate, the conjugate base of lactic acid. The lactate dehydrogenase enzyme catalyzes the reduction, which causes NADH to oxidize into NAD. The process is described within this diagram. Number 2. Ethanol fermentation. In this kind, the pyruvate is converted in two steps of ethanol. The enzyme pyruvate decarboxylase first converts pyruvate into acetaldehyde in the presence of 8-pp thiamine pyrophosphate. This procedure results in the release of carbon dioxide molecule. The alcohol dehydrogenase enzyme reduces acetaldehyde to ethanol in the following process. This process results in the oxidation of one NADH molecule to NAD+. With the help of this diagram, you can understand the procedure. So at the end, you can see the anaerobic respiration equation in front of you. Lactic acid fermentation. In the first step, you can see glucose plus 2 ATP plus 2 ADP plus 2 phosphate ion plus 2 NAD results into 2 pyruvate plus 4 ATP plus 2 NADH. In the step 2, 2 pyruvate plus 2 NADH results into 2 lactic acid plus 2 NAD. Whereas in the ethanol fermentation, the first step gives you glucose plus 2 ATP plus 2 ATP plus 2 phosphate ion plus 2 NAD results into 2 pyruvate plus 4 ADP plus 2 NADH. In step 2, 2 pyruvate results into 2 acetaldehyde plus 2 carbon dioxide. And in step 3, 2 acetaldehyde plus 2 NADH results into 2 ethanol plus 2 NAD. Kindly don't forget to show your support by subscribing to my channel and pressing the bell icon button so you don't miss any of my videos. Products of anaerobic respiration. Products of anaerobic respiration differ depending on the kind of electron acceptor utilized in the respiration process. Anaerobic respiration often results in the production of lactic acid, ethanol, carbon dioxide, and ATP. Acetic acid, boric acid, methane, iron 2, H2S, aldehyde ions, succinates, NO2- and N2, and other substances are also generated. Let's head to the uses or application of anaerobic respiration. It is essential to biogeochemical cycles such as carbon, nitrogen, iron, and sulfur cycles. These cycles include a number of phases that call for anaerobic respiration. Anaerobic respiration processes include, for instance, methogenesis, sulfur reduction, and denitrification. Waste management systems and sewage treatment facilities both utilizes it. In the sewage treatment process, the denitrification stage is utilized to remove nitrate. In bioremediation techniques, pollutants such as petroleum, arsenic, radioactive, and chlorinated molecules are reduced anaerobically. Anaerobic respiration is a technique used to generate electricity using microbial fuel cells. Production of organic acids for industrial and domestic usage such as lactic acid, proionic acid, acetic acid, and boric acid. The area of anaerobic respiration with the largest applications is alcohol fermentation. Beer, wine, distilled alcohols, and other alcoholic drinks are still produced today, and despite their lengthy history, they still represent a sizable portion of the global economy. Fermented foods are created using lactic acid fermentation, acetic acid fermentation, and other organic acid fermentation techniques. The organic acid fermentation process results in the production of fermented dairy products, soya sauce, sourdough bread, Indian idli, and dosa, fermented mustard greens, pickled vegetables, and etc. Ammonia is transformed into ammonium ions in our intestines by anaerobic lactic acid fermentation. This shields our body from damaging effects of ammonia. So, there are examples of anaerobic respiration. Alcoholic beverage production. Alcohol fermentation results in the creation of wine, beer, and other distilled ethanol products. For generation of ethanol, yeasts such as Saccharomyces cerevisiae, Schizosaccharomyces, Zygosaccharomyces, and etc. are frequently utilized. Biogas production. Anaerobic fermentation is a method for breaking down organic waste that results in the creation of methane gas. A popular alternative energy source is methane gas. Production of Swiss cheese. The fermentation of propionic acid produces the distinct flavor and precise texture of Swiss cheese. Acid imparts taste, and the carbon dioxide gas that released causes the surface of the cheese to grow the recognizable holes. Vinegar production. A combination of 5 to 8% acetic acid makes up vinegar used as a flavor and food preservation. The procedure of twofold fermentation is used in its manufacturing. Ethanol is the first product of alcohol fermentation. The acetic acid bacteria Acetobacter subsequently converts the ethanol to acetic acid. And last, nitrate reduction in nitrogen cycle. Denitrification, an anaerobic respiration process, is how nitrate is reduced to nitrite in the nitrogen cycle. Denitrification is carried out by bacteria like Pseudomonas, Clostridium, Geobacter, and etc. So that's it for today. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to my channel, and press the bell icon button for more videos. Keep increasing your knowledge by watching my videos. Thank you so much for watching.